इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशितारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपदा निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल. So Hare Krishna, Danatranam all of you. Thank you so much for joining to continue our reading of this beautiful scripture, Sri Brahma Samhita. So we'll start with verse 5.49 today. I'll just share the screen and then we'll start reading. So the theme of the verses that we are reading is about the description of various personalities and understanding their position, who they actually are. And then in our discussions, we are trying to understand what is their position compared to the position of Lord Krishna. Okay, so, Mother Durga, then Lord Shiva, then what was the position of Kshirodakashai Vishnu, Mahavishnu. All these are the topics of discussion that we are having currently. And today we are going to read more about Lord Brahma. And first we'll try to understand the purport, and then we'll see some references from other scriptures, other different aspects where Lord Brahma's position is further explained. So we'll try to cover that in today's discussion. Okay. So starting with verse 5.49 today, would someone like to read the shloka?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah. Okay. Rohini Mataji and Rohini Mataji, you can read the shloka, and Prashanti Mataji, you can read the translation.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bhasvan yathashma shakaleshu nijeshu tejah swiyam kiyat prakatayatyapi tadvadatra Brahmaya isha jagadanda vidhana karta Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Translation by Prabhupada Ki Jai. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom the separated subjective portion Brahma receives his power for the regulation of the mundane world, just as the sun manifests some portion of his own light in all the effulgent gems that bear the names of Surya Kanta, etc. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji. Sudha Mataji, you had raised your hand. Mataji, would you like to read the purport?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Purport by His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Ki Jai. Purport: Brahma is two types. In certain kalpas, when the potency of the Supreme Lord infuses himself in an eligible jiva, the latter acts in the office of Brahma and creates the universe. In those kalpas, when no eligible jiva is available, after the Brahma of the previous kalpa is liberated, Krishna, by the process of allotment of his own potency, creates the Brahma who has the nature of the avatara, descent of the divinity in the active mundane principle, Rajoguna. By principle, Brahma is superior to ordinary jivas but is not the direct divinity. The divine nature is present in a greater measure in Shambhu than in Brahma. The fundamental significance of the above is that the aggregate of 50 attributes belonging to the Jiva are present in a fuller measure in Brahma, who possesses in a lesser degree 5 more attributes which are not found in Jivas. But in Shambhu, both the 50 attributes of Jivas as also the 5 additional attributes found in Brahma are present in even greater measure than in Brahma. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Shobha Mataji, you've raised your hand. Would you like to read the shloka once?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Okay, Mataji, I will read the shloka once. Bhashyan yatha shamasakhelishu nijeshu teja Sriyam kitha prakatayati apita atra Brahma yayesha jagatanda vidhana karta Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji, Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Any other devotees would like to read the shloka? Yeah. So in this shloka, yes, Mataji?
Can I repeat after you, Mataji?
Okay, sure, Mataji. Let's read. Bhasvan yathashma sakshakaleshu nijeshu teja.
Bhasvan yatashma sakaleshu nijeshu teja.
Swiyam kiyat prakatayatyapi tadvadatra.
Swiyam kiyat prakatayatyapya tadvadatra.
Brahmaya esha jagadanda vidhana karta.
One minute, Mataji. Sorry, Mataji. ब्रह्माय एष जगदण्ड विधानकर्ता
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि.
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams.
Thank you, dear devotees, for reading it so beautifully. So here it is mentioned that I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom the separated subjective portion Brahma receives his power for the regulation of the mundane world. Excuse me. Just as the sun manifests some portion of his own light in all the effulgent gems that bear the names of Surya, Kanta, etc. So here in this verse, it is clearly stated that Brahma is a separated subjective portion of Lord Krishna. So he is separated from the Lord, and he is receiving his power from Govinda, from Lord Krishna. So just like if we have a gem, the gem will shine only if there is some light on it, right? So if that the sunlight doesn't fall on the gem will not shine on its own. So in the same way here we are understanding that Lord Brahma, he gets his powers from Lord Krishna. He's not independent. Okay, that is very important to understand. Then in the purport, it is explained that there are two types of Brahmas. So in certain kalpas, where there is a jiva, who we'll see what conditions have to be satisfied. We'll read about that later. But Brahma actually is a jiva. So some jiva who satisfy the particular condition, is elevated in that way, gets the position of Brahma. So Brahmaji is actually a position. But in certain kalpas, if there is no one who is eligible to take that position, then Lord Krishna himself will take that position. Okay. So like it is mentioned that Brahma is of two types. In certain kalpas, when the potency of the Supreme Lord infuses himself in an eligible jiva, the latter acts in the office of Brahma and creates the universe. In those kalpas, when no eligible jiva is available after the Brahma of the previous kalpa is liberated, Krishna, by the process of allotment of his own potency, creates the Brahma who has the nature of the avatara, descent of the divinity in the active mundane principle Rajoguna. So either there is a living entity who is able to take that position. If not, then the Lord will create an avatara and take that position of Lord Brahma. By principle, Brahma is superior to ordinary jivas, but is not the direct divinity. So Brahma is a very, very elevated personality. He is not an ordinary person in any way, but he is jiva. He is not Vishnu Tattva. He is Jiva Tattva only. The divine nature is present in a greater measure in Shambhu than in Brahma. So Lord Shiva's position is more exalted than the position of Lord Brahma. The fundamental significance of the above is that the aggregate of 50 attributes belonging to the Jiva are present in a fuller measure in Brahma, who possesses in a lesser degree 5 more attributes which are not found in Jivas. So Brahmaji is having more attributes than Jivas, and the attributes which Jivas also have, Brahmaji has them in a more concentrated form. But in Shambhu, both the 50 attributes of Jiva as also the 5 additional attributes found in Brahma are present in even greater measure than in Brahma. So Lord Shiva's position is even more greater than that of Lord Shiva's position is even more greater than that of Lord Brahma. So in this shloka, the focus is about what is the position of Lord Brahma. Who is Lord Brahma actually? Very important to understand, because he being the secondary creator, a lot of people have this confusion that okay, he's the creator, Vishnu is the maintainer, Lord Shiva is the is for destruction. So many people may think that okay, everything is coming from Lord Brahma only, he's the supreme. So that confusion is clearly clearly clarified here, that Brahma ji is getting his energy, he's getting all his powers. Even for the secondary creation, he is getting the powers from Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is the primary creator. So everything, even the raw materials, if we use a gross term, the raw materials from which Brahmaji is going to do the secondary creation, that is also coming from Lord Krishna only. But for this secondary creation to happen, for that also the power, the energy that Lord Brahma is getting, that is also coming from Lord Krishna. He is not independent. He just cannot create on his own. Okay, so he is dependent on the Lord, and he is getting his power from the from the Lord. Just like, this sun example is given, that if there are several gems, the gems will shine if the light of the sun falls on them. In the same way, Brahmaji gets his power to create because of the mercy of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna has given him this service. So for this service, Lord Krishna empowers him, and then Brahmaji is able to create. Now, earlier personalities that were discussed, like Durga Ji, Lord Shiva, Shirodakshai Vishnu, and earlier personalities discussed like Durga Ji, Lord Shiva, Shirodakshai Vishnu, Mahavishnu, they are different from Lord Brahma's position, because Lord Brahma is a Jiva Tattva. The other personalities that were mentioned, they were not like a position. Okay, they are eternally existing. They are empowered agents of Lord Krishna. For example, Mother Durga to look after the material world. Then there is Lord Shiva. He has his own function. Shirodakshai Vishnu. So their position, Durga Ji's position, Lord Shiva's position, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, Mahavishnu, they were all different. But Brahma Ji's position is different because he's a Jiva Tattva. That is the difference between the other personalities and Lord Brahma. And this is explained by Srila Prabhupada and other acharyas many times, that Brahma Ji's position is like a post. Okay, and in a pious living entity who has done, there is some conditions, like he has performed the varnashram duties successfully for 100 lifetimes. Such a person can take the position of Lord Brahma. Okay, so we'll read more about that, and we'll see the Shastric references for that also. But at this point, it is important to understand that Brahma Ji is a Jiva Tattva, that is a position that is taken by someone, and that person is empowered by the Lord to carry out the functions required. And like it's mentioned in the purport here, that there are two types of Brahmas. One Brahma is a Jiva empowered by the Lord, and the other is the Lord himself will expand and occupy that position if there is no Jiva who is eligible to take the position in that particular kalpa. Now, when we say Brahma is a Jiva, he's not like an ordinary Jiva. He's a very special Jiva. And he has, he has received this power from the Lord, and he has a very important duty to perform, in this universe. And because he is a Jiva, that does not mean that he's an ordinary person like, any other Jiva walking in the earth. He's a very special person who is doing a very, very important function of the secondary creation, but he is not Vishnu Tattva. That is what we have to understand. We don't have to disrespect Brahmaji or understand that he's a very ordinary living entity. No, he's a very special living entity, but he's not Vishnu Tattva. We are saying, we are reading all this and discussing all this so that we understand that he's not Vishnu Tattva. That's all. And the next part in this purport that we have to understand is that Shiva, Lord Shiva, is always superior to Lord Brahma. And Shambhu, Lord Shiva, existed even before Brahmaji was manifested on the lotus flower. This also is very important to understand. In the material world, it is just a Leela, where Lord Shiva comes out of the anger of Brahma, Brahma's forehead. This is what we read. But that is just a Leela. That does not mean that Brahmaji created Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is eternally existing, and he existed, even before Lord Brahma came out on that lotus flower. So this helps us understand that, what is the position of Lord Shiva compared to the position of Lord Brahma. Shiva Tattva is totally different. Shiva Tattva is not Jiva Tattva. Brahmaji is in Jiva Tattva, but Lord Shiva has a completely special Tattva of his own. And the qualities that Lord Brahma has, those are the qualities that living entities have. But he has those qualities in a better degree than all the other living entities. And that is why he is in that position of power. So Lord Brahma cannot be compared to even Lord Shiva. So then what to talk about comparison with Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu? That is definitely not possible. Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu is the source of Brahma. So they cannot be created. Like wrongly, it is, it is taken that Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, they are all on the same level. Many people think like that they are the Trinity, they are all this, they are on the same level. But definitely not. We have read in earlier verses also that Lord Vishnu does not ever get adulterated, with the qualities of this material world. So Lord Vishnu is definitely superior. And then Lord Shiva is superior to even Lord Brahma. Okay, so this analogy that the sun reveals in the shining object, that gives us the comparison that the brightness of the sun is seen in the shining objects, but they cannot shine without the sun. So like Suryakant is mentioned here, gems that bear the name Suryakant, they shine because of the light of the sun. They cannot shine on their own. Similarly, Lord Brahma is empowered by Lord Krishna. He cannot exist independently of the Lord. Okay. Now this is for the understanding of this shloka and the purport. Now let's read some Shastric references where this position of Lord Brahma will come out more clearly. And see, why do we need to discuss and read all these Shastric references? Firstly, it's to strengthen our faith, whatever we are reading. See, for example, in our academic education also, if there is some theorem or some fact being told to us, and then we read that there are other references where the same thing is mentioned, then we become sure of what we are learning, we become more confident. So one is to strengthen our faith about these concepts. The other thing is that if there is a discussion with someone else where some other concept is being spoken about, then we'll have this, we'll be armed with these shastric references. If someone is just randomly telling us that Brahmaji is superior, Brahmaji is God, he is a supreme Lord, something like that, or that Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, they're all on the same level, then if we have to refute this this argument, we have to know where it is given. Because if we just roughly say that no, this is not true, what you're saying is not true, then that our logic will not hold much weight. If we are armed with the shastric references, then we'll be more sure of what we are speaking. Yes, we don't have to go and fight with anyone, but we do have to protect our own faith. And that is why we should know that what we are reading is not just a solitary thing that is mentioned in some scripture in one line. No, the scriptures, our authorized scriptures, if we read, they will all be saying the same thing. Okay, so that is why reading all these different references will help our confidence become stronger. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.302, it is mentioned. Yeah. It is mentioned that because of his past pious activities mixed with devotional service, the first class living entity is influenced by the mode of passion within his mind. Now, the next shloka after this says, such a devotee is empowered by Garbhodakshai Vishnu. In this way, an incarnation of Krishna in the form of Brahma engineers the total creation of the universe. So here it is mentioned that the Garbhodakshai Vishnu Purusha Avatara, expansion of Lord Vishnu accepts the material modes, Sattva Guna, Rajaguna, and Tamaguna, and thus incarnates as Lord Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. These are incarnations of the material qualities. Among the many superior living entities qualified with pious activities and devotional service, one called Lord Brahma is infused with the quality of passion by the supreme will of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Thus, Lord Brahma becomes the incarnation of the creative energy of the Lord. Because the Lord infuses him with that energy, so that is why he's mentioned that he becomes like an incarnation of the creative energy of the Lord. So this line, among the many superior living entities qualified with pious activities and devotional service, one called Lord Brahma is infused with the quality of passion by the supreme will of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So here it is clearly stated. So here it is clearly mentioned that Lord Brahma is empowered by Lord Krishna, and that's when he gets his power to do the creation. So he's empowered by the creative energy of Lord Krishna. So we see Chaitanya Charitamrita is also explaining that who can become Brahma, and an empowered living entity. So if you perform bhakti now, but the condition here is that these are people who are doing bhakti, but their bhakti is mishra. That means it is mixed with some desire. There is a desire to control. So that is why we are always taught now that bhakti should be ahead to ki apratihata. It should be unmotivated, uninterrupted. So these personalities who take the position of Lord Brahma, they are not ordinary people. They are devotees, but not pure devotees, because their bhakti was mixed with the desire to control. But this is the highest post within the material world. He is a jiva, but he had this material desire to do the controlling, and that is why he is still within the material world. Brahmaloka is still within the material world. It's not in the spiritual world. So that's why, if we think that, okay, we have joined this great movement, and some people even think that I have become a life member of ISKCON, so I'll definitely go back to Godhead in this very life. But these shlokas are making us very alert that, even if there is piety, even if there is a devotion, but if there is material desire, then that desire will bring us back. So that is the position of Lord Brahma. He's a very, very special personality, but there is the material desire to control. So that is why he's given the highest post, but within the material world, because of the desire to control. Lord Shiva is not Jiva. Goddess Durga is energy of Krishna. So they don't have the desire to have anything material. That is why their position is very, very different. Again, that differentiation comes because they are also performing activities. They are also doing seva. They're also doing certain tasks which are allocated to them by the Lord, right? But they don't have material desires. That is why their position is special. But Lord Brahma is an entity who had this desire to control, and so he is given the power to control, and the highest power, because he is the highest a person in terms of piety, in terms of following Varnashram Dharma. And Srila Prabhupada in a lecture elsewhere, he has mentioned that we may be practicing bhakti, but if we have the desire to enjoy, then we become Mishra Bhaktas. Our bhakti is mixed with some desires. So Prabhupada has said that we may also become Devatas, because bhakti means lot of pious credit is being accumulated. But till the point where the bhakti is absolutely pure, where the desire is just to please the Lord, where the happiness of Krishna is the sole objective, till bhakti reaches that point, it's not pure devotion. So one may accumulate a lot of pious credit by doing devotional activities, but because the material desires are still there, the desire to enjoy is still there, so such a person can become a devata. So devotees mention that, that is the risk that we are carrying. And why is it called a risk? Because of this shloka from Bhagavad Gita. This shloka comes in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is the 16th verse. A Brahma Bhavana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna Mamupetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So we may think that, what is wrong in becoming Brahma? That is such an exalted position. He's so powerful. He's doing secondary creation. He's doing direct service to Lord Krishna. Yes, it's a very, very powerful position, but it is in the material world. So there will still be death. There will still be repeated birth and death. So it's not like this is taking us out of the cycle of repeated birth and death, though it is a very exalted position. And we see that the lifetime, of Brahmaji, it is mentioned many times. Prabhupada mentions it many times that, he has such a long life, and so when we read, we become, very we may come in awe that, oh, Brahmaji lives such a long life, it's like in front of him, we are like, those night worms. There are some worms that are just born at night. They stay for a, few hours and they don't even see the light of the sun. His position, is so exalted that in front of him, our lifespan looks like that. Compared to him, we are like the night flies. So we may get filled with wonder that, such a big number. Why does Prabhupada mention this big number again and again? That is to tell us that there is an end. If it can be counted, that means there is an end to it. So even Brahma's life is going to end at some point of time. He is not eternal. He will die, there will be another birth. So that should make us alert that, we should not desire for a high position in this material world. Our desire should be to achieve pure devotional service to Krishna, because that is the only thing that is going to take us out of this place of repeated birth and death, of this place of misery. Okay. Now another reference comes in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. This is verse 2 to 125. This helps us understand that Brahma's position is the highest post of authority, because it is mentioned that he is Sri Brahma, the master of all progenitors of the universe. He is our father. Although he himself is self-born and fatherless, he is the supreme authority and the creator and maintainer of the universe. By spreading the message of the Vedas, he teaches religious principles. So here it is mentioned, how high Lord Brahma's position actually is. He's called as the father, or a grandfather, because everyone, all living entities, if we trace them back, and they will go from Lord Brahma, because this is the seva he had, right? The seva of creation. So his position is that of the highest post of authority. Then there is another reference that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 10th chapter, verse 7. In this, it is mentioned, thereafter he saw that the lotus on which he was situated was spread throughout the universe, and he contemplated how to create all the planets which were previously merged in that very same lotus. So this is when, the starting happens. Then what is Lord Brahma thinking of? Then how the creation happens. This is just to help us understand that, what happens when Lord Brahma comes. Then in the next verse 3:10:8, it is mentioned that thus engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma entered into the whirl of the lotus, and as it spread all over the universe, he divided it into 3 divisions of worlds and later into 14 divisions. So this is what Lord Brahma does. This is the creation that takes place when he appears. Okay. Now, and again, going back to Brihad Bhagavatamrita, in this shloka 2 to 126, it is mentioned that he resides in Satya Loka, which is located above all other worlds, that means the material worlds. Those who faultlessly execute their prescribed occupational duties, Swadharma, for 100 lifetimes attain this planet. So, this is the reference that I was talking about, that it is mentioned that a person who executes the varnashram dharma faultlessly, without any mistakes, for 100 lifetimes, not 100 years, but 100 lifetimes, such a person can take the can take this post of Lord Brahma. Okay, but here is another catch. It's not that every person who fulfills this condition is going to become Lord Brahma. No, there may be more than one person who fulfills this condition, and then the best out of those is going to take the position of Lord Brahma. The others who fulfill the condition may go to Brahma Loka. They can associate with Lord Brahma. But if there are more than one person who's fulfilling this condition, then the best is chosen, and that person is given the post of Lord Brahma. He's empowered by Lord Krishna, and he does the activity of secondary creation. Now, Srila Prabhupada in his lectures has mentioned about Brahmaji, so we'll just read a few of them. In one lecture that he gave on December 21, 1966 in New York, this lecture was about Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 20.298 to 313. There Prabhupada says, now what is the constitution of Brahma? Brahma, just there are so many innumerable living entities, If some of them, they are devotee, but they want to enjoy this material world, they want to enjoy. So they are devotee for taking some favor from God and want to enjoy this material world. He is called Brahma. Brahma's constitutional position is that. So this is a devotee. He may become a pure devotee. He may purify his desires and then go back to Krishna. But at this juncture, he is a devotee who is performing devotional services with a material desire to enjoy. Okay. Then in 1977, in a lecture, Prabhupada says that anyone who has got little interest in material enjoyment is not fit for Bhagavad Bhajan. He'll have to accept again this material body. Either he becomes Brahma or becomes an ant in the stool according to his karma. So this desire to enjoy, that is the root cause of the problems. That is what causes us to do so many mistakes also, right? And that is what is keeping us bound in this material world. Because we spend one life trying to enjoy. We're looking for enjoyment here, there, everywhere. At the end of the life, we find that our desires are not fulfilled. We feel frustrated. And then, we feel, oh, what if, I have this, then I'll be happy. What if I have that, then I'll be happy. And so we get another body and another. And in this way, the cycle has continued. So that is why Prabhupada is saying that even if we have a little interest for material enjoyment, that we are not fit for Bhagavad Bhajan, we'll have to take another body. And if someone is very great, they may even get the body of Lord Brahma, or according to one's karma, one may become an ant. But the whole concept is that we'll be taking another body till our desire is not purified, till our only focus is the pleasure of Lord Krishna and Radharani. These desires continue and the repeated births continue. Then, so this we should take it as a warning for all devotees that if we are performing devotional service, we should not do it with an expectation of material reward. We should not think that I am performing this devotional service and so I should get this. I am doing this bhakti, I am chanting these rounds, so this is what I should get. Otherwise, if we don't change this mentality, then we'll be stuck in this material world. That's why bhakti should be ahetuki, apratihata. It should be uninterrupted. Different changing conditions around us should not stop our devotional practices. We should be stable on this path and it should be unmotivated. We should not have any desire to enjoy. We should not have any desire for fame, name, or any kind of other materialistic possessions. Just because I'm doing bhakti, I deserve to have all that. So this is, it's not that, in a second, if we just click and all desires will just vanish. But we should know what our motivation should be. So that is why when we observe ourselves and we realize that even after chanting, I have these material desires, each one of us should contemplate, should think that what is it that is stopping my chanting from becoming pure? What are those desires? What are those attachments that I'm not able to give up? And we should make a conscious effort to let go of those gradually. It's not an overnight process. It's not going to happen just in a second. But at least, when we know the destination, then we can at least start working towards that, start walking towards our desired destination. That is why acharyas keep explaining these things to us. Yes, for me also talking about, there's so many desires, there's so many expectations, but gradually we have to let go of them. We have to stop that. And the prayers to our acharyas, prayers to our guru, prayers to Srila Prabhupada, prayers to the Lord, this is what is very, very powerful. Prayers are very powerful. So we should pray, and we should, there are so many beautiful Vaishnava bhajans also which we can sing, which are bringing out this mood that I'm stuck here, I have so many desires, I have so many problems, help me get out of them so that I can chant your name purely. So we should always have this prayerful mood, so that whatever little we are doing, it should be for the pleasure of the Lord and not for our own personal sense gratification. Now, another reference is from Srimad Bhagavatam 4:24-29. In this shloka, it is mentioned that a person who executes his occupational duty properly for 100 births becomes qualified to occupy the post of Brahma. See, now we read this in Brihad Bhagavatamrita also, and we are reading this in Srimad Bhagavatam also, that one has to execute the Varnashram Dharma perfectly for 100 lifetimes, and then he becomes qualified to occupy the post of Brahma. And if he becomes more qualified, he can approach Lord Shiva. Approach means there can be association with Lord Shiva, but one cannot become Lord Shiva. A person who is directly surrendered to Lord Krishna or Vishnu in unalloyed devotional service is immediately promoted to the spiritual planets. Lord Shiva and other demigods attain these planets after the destruction of this material world. So here the part highlighted is that if our devotional service is unalloyed, then we can be promoted to the spiritual world. But that unalloyed, that is very, very important. Okay. Another reference is about the position of the other, like I mentioned, the other people who are also doing karma yoga very nicely, and they are performing that for 100 years. They can go to Brahma Loka. Not necessarily that everyone will become Brahma, but they can become an associate of Lord Brahma. This is again from Brihad Bhagavatamrita 1 to 48. There it is mentioned that you can become Brahma, but others, if there are many who are satisfying this condition, then they can become an associate of Lord Brahma, and the best person is chosen to become Lord Brahma. So it is very, very rare, it's not something very casual. To do the proper Varnashram Dharma even for a single day is a big struggle. So doing it for one full lifetime is another big struggle, and doing it for 100 lifetimes. So that is, the position is very, very rare. That is why we have to understand that anyone who is Brahma, the position of Lord Brahma is very, very exalted. Now let's read another reference from Srimad Bhagavatam. This comes in the 3rd canto, 32nd chapter, verses 12 to 15. In this verse, in the translation, it is mentioned, "My dear mother, someone may worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a special self-interest, but even demigods such as Lord Brahma, great sages such as Sanat Kumara, and great munis such as Marichi have to come back to the material world again at the time of creation." See, again, the aspect is mentioned that even though it is a very exalted position, it is still in the material world, so they will have to come back. When the interaction of the three modes of material nature begins, Brahma, who is the creator of this cosmic manifestation and who is full of Vedic knowledge, and the great sages who are the authors of the spiritual path and the yoga system, come back under the influence of the time factor. They are liberated by the non-fruitive activities and attain the first incarnation of the Purusha, but at the time of creation, they come back in exactly the same forms and positions they previously had. So this just means that they all go back into the body of Mahavishnu, but at the time of creation, they will come back. Okay. So here it is mentioned in the purport that Brahma becomes liberated is known to everyone, but he cannot liberate his devotees. Demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot give liberation to any living entity. Only Lord Krishna, Mukunda, he is the giver of liberation. Only he can take anyone back to Godhead. As it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, only one who surrenders unto Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can be liberated from the clutches of Maya. Brahma here is called Adya Sthiracharanam. He is the original, first created living entity, and after his own birth, he creates the entire cosmic manifestation. He was fully instructed in the matter of creation by the Supreme Lord. Here he is called Vedagarbha, which means that he knows the complete purpose of the Vedas. Okay. So here the position of Lord Brahma is again these concepts are again and again mentioned so that it becomes drilled in our mind, that we don't become fascinated by this post of Lord Brahma. See, because he is the secondary creator, right? He's in charge of creation in the material world. So he is very powerful, and so he is glorified everywhere. So hearing that glorification, hearing his very long lifetime and all, we may become very fascinated. But after reading all these things, we have to understand that yes, it's a very important and great position, but that's not what our aspiration should be. Our aspiration should be Prem Bhakti. pure loving devotional service to Lord Krishna. Then in 11.3.12 Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned here. I'll go to this part. Yeah. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has pointed out that there are three categories within the status of Brahma, namely those of Karmi, Jnani, and devotee. Now, when we are talking about Lord Brahma, we do understand that he's a jiva. So that's why, there is the death and the misery is there. That is not, he's not beyond all that. Brahmaji's lifetime also comes to an end. But he is in a position where he can become a pure devotee and go back to Krishna. So that's why Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentioned that there are three categories of Brahmaji. He could be a karmi, could be a jnani, he could be a devotee. There are different Brahmas, right? As they keep changing now, that position could be held by a Brahma who is a karmi, who is a jnani, or who's a devotee. A Brahma who is the most exalted karmi of the universe will have to come back to the material world. So if the position of Lord Brahma is occupied by a karmi, the most exalted karmi, then he will come back. A living entity who has achieved the post of Brahma by being the greatest speculative philosopher within the universe may attain impersonal liberation. Now, if the position is taken by a person who is a jnani, who is into knowledge, speculation, philosophy, and all that, then they can get impersonal liberation, the Brahma Jyoti liberation. And a living entity who has been awarded the post of Brahma due to being a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead enters into the personal abode of the Lord. So this devotee, he did have material desire, and that is why he is not able to go back home, but he is given this position of power of Lord Brahma. He can purify his desire because he is a devotee, and so he can enter into the spiritual abode. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:32-15, yet another case is described, a Brahma who is a devotee of the Lord, but who has a tendency to think himself independent of or equal to the Lord, may achieve Mahavishnu's abode at the time of annihilation, but when creation begins again, he has to return again and take the post of Brahma. So, if a devotee takes that position and he purifies his desires, and then he can go back to Godhead. But even being there, if he still has this desire to enjoy, then he will go back to Mahavishnu and then again come back. Okay, so this is at the time of the other kind of annihilation, not the full annihilation, the annihilation that takes place at the end of Brahma's day. So he's not going to go back to Krishna again. When the new creation takes place, he'll come back, he'll continue with his services of Brahmaji. Okay. Now again another reference from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is in Madhya Leela 20.306. What is the value of a throne to Lord Krishna? The masters of the various planetary systems accept the dust of his lotus feet on their crowned heads. That dust makes the holy places sacred, and even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lakshmi, and I myself, who are the portions of his plenary portion, eternally carry that dust on our heads. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. When the Kauravas flattered Baldev so that he would become their ally and spoke ill of Sri Krishna, Lord Baladev became angry and spoke this verse. This is spoken by Lord Balram. So till now we have read, okay, what is the position of Brahma, who can become Brahma, Brahma is the Jiva, all that we have understood. Now let us understand what is his position with regard to Lord Krishna. So here it is mentioned that even such great personalities, even Lord Brahma, even Lord Shiva, and he's saying that I myself and Lakshmi, they eternally carry that dust, the dust of Lord Krishna's lotus feet on their heads. That is how wonderful our Lord Krishna is. He is performing all these beautiful pastimes. He's so merciful. He's coming again and again, giving us scriptures, giving us these beautiful leelas. He is performing these childlike pastimes, which fill our hearts with so much love. But see his position. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, even Lord Balram, Lakshmi Devi, what do they want to do? They want to carry the dust of his lotus feet on their heads. Okay? So this is the position that is mentioned by Lord Balramji. Now, to see that what Brahmaji says, what is Brahmaji saying himself. So we all know of the Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Brahmaji saw Lord Krishna, this beautiful cowherd boy is having lunch with his friends, carrying some rice and yogurt and fruit in his hand. And the scene was a very lovable scene where friends of Krishna, they are so, so familiar with the Lord. They are eating something, and if they like something, see, for them, Lord Krishna's pleasure is the only thing. So if they're eating something and it is tasty, what do the cowherd boys do? It's not that they just gobble it, before anyone can take that because I really like it. No, what do? When they eat something and it is tasty, they want Krishna to taste it. Oh, Krishna, this is so tasty. My mother has made something very, very tasty. You please try it. So they give it to Krishna, and Krishna eats. So Brahmaji is seeing all these things. He's eating the leftover. He's eating something which is already eaten by someone. How can this be the Supreme Lord? The story everyone knows. All of you are familiar with it. So he is seeing this, and he is getting bewildered, and then he kidnaps all the cows and the calves, and it's a very beautiful leela, right? Where the Lord expands and he's removing this illusion of Lord Brahma, where Lord Brahma thinks that this can't be the Supreme Lord, with his incarnation into the different cowherd boys, and he's expanding himself as the cows, as the calves, as the cowherd boys, and 1 full year goes on like this. And because the time dimension is very different between Brahma Loka and the earth. So in just Brahmaji just going and coming back, 1 year passes and he sees everything is the same. All the cowherd boys and Lord Krishna, when he expands himself as the cowherd boys and the cows, he takes care of even the minutest of qualities or characteristics that they have. So that nobody, their parents, they cannot make out the difference. The only difference that happened was that everyone felt, all the gopis, all the gopas, all the cows, they just felt that why are we feeling more love for our children? That was the only difference. Otherwise, exactly same characteristics. That's how the Lord expanded. And when Brahmaji sees this, he offers prayers, right? He totally surrenders. He puts down, with his crown, he surrenders to Lord Krishna. And then there are very, beautiful prayers. Lord Brahma's prayers in the Srimad Bhagavatam are very, very beautiful. And out of that, this one shloka that we are going to read, 10, 14, 11. What is Brahmaji saying? He's saying, what am I? A small creature measuring 7 spans of my own hand. See, this is the position of humility that Brahmaji takes. His pride, his illusion is totally removed, and he's saying that, what am I? You are so great. I am just a small creature measuring 7 spans of my own hand. I am enclosed in a pot-like universe composed of material nature, a total material energy, false ego, ether, air, water, and earth. He's stating his position. And what is your glory? Unlimited universes pass through the pores of your body, just as particles of dust pass through the openings of a screened window. So, what are these great universes that Brahmaji is creating? What are they compared to Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu? These universes are just like particles of dust passing through a screened window. That is how tiny, how minute these are compared to the greatness of the Lord. Why I heard a story narrated by one devotee once that Lord Krishna was resting, and then his attendants come and tell him that Lord Brahma has come. Lord Brahma comes to visit. And the servant then goes and informs Krishna that Brahmaji has come to visit you. He wants your darshan. And Lord Krishna ask him, which Brahma has come? And then the servant goes and asks, Lord Krishna is asking which Brahma you are. And Brahmaji is totally bewildered. Like, I am Brahma. I am the creator of the universe. No. So what is this question that which Brahma? Brahma, it's me. And then Lord Krishna shows Brahma that He is a four-faced, Brahma, four faces. There are so many other Brahmas with 10 heads, with 8 heads, 16 heads, 24 heads, because different universes will have different Brahmas. Brahmaji in our universe has 4 heads, but there are other universes where Brahmaji will have more number of heads. And when this Brahmaji sees all the other Brahmajis, he is totally in awe and reverence of Lord Krishna, and he bows down and surrenders to the Lord. So that is, here himself, Brahmaji is stating his position, and he's in this mood of humility towards Lord Krishna. And so in this purport, Prabhupada says that uh, then Lord Brahma, after having stolen all Krishna's calves and cowherd boys, returned and saw that the calves and boys were still roaming with Krishna. He offered this prayer in defeat. So this is the prayer that he's offering in defeat. A conditioned soul, even one so great as Brahma, who manages the affairs of the entire universe, cannot compare to the personality of Godhead, for he can produce numberless universes simply by the spiritual rays emanating from the pores of his body. Material scientists should take lessons from the utterances of Sri Brahma regarding our insignificance in comparison with God. In these prayers of Brahma, there is so much to learn for those who are falsely puffed up by the accumulation of power. Even Lord Brahma, the highest living entity, the highest position in the material world, what is he saying? That I'm just a normal, common, tiny living entity measuring 7 spans of my hand. For you, universes are coming out of your body just like particles of dust through the openings of a screen window. So, what is it that we should become proud of? Even small achievements in the material world, we become so puffed up, we become so proud, we have an attitude and air about us. But these shlokas, our great scriptures are telling us how great personalities act. This is actually Brahmaji's greatness, that he's taking this position of humility. So it's a great learning for everyone. These beautiful scriptures are teaching us so many things. And when we are reading about Brahmaji, yes, he's a living entity. Yes, he's someone who probably had material desires, because of which he got this position, which is still within the material universe. But we have to understand how worshipable he is for us. See, because this great sampradaya that we are a part of, the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, it is coming from Lord Brahma. He got these teachings from Lord Krishna and he passes it on, and that is why we get this Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. His prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam are very beautiful, and most importantly, Sri Brahma Samhita, which we are now reading, is given to us by Lord Brahma. So his position is very, very great. Yes, we have to understand that we cannot equate his position to the position of Lord Krishna. That differentiation we should maintain. Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, but Lord Brahma is also someone who is very, very elevated. Never should we think that, oh, he's an ordinary living entity. Just because he's a Jiva Tattva, that does not mean that he's an ordinary living entity. He's a very elevated living entity who got this special seva. But through Brahmaji's example, we also get this lesson of humility from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the Brahma Vimohan Leela. And also we learn that our bhakti should be unmotivated. There should not be any ulterior motives because of which we are doing bhakti. Because if we have those desires and we don't remove those desires, then we'll again come back. That is the risk we carry. So Brahmaji is very worshipable because our sampradaya is coming from him. He has written beautiful prayers in glorification of the Lord. So those are the lessons we should take from this pastime. Okay, and about the position of Lord Brahma. Okay, so we'll stop here today. Any questions, any comments, or anything you would like to say or discuss? Then we can have that now.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat
Hare
pranams. Thanks for the excellent lecture, Mataji. Mataji, can you tell about Varnashrama Dharma, Mataji? Because sometimes I get confused. Like as a housewife, I will have so many duties which impedes my sadhana. So which one should I choose, and how to go about my Varnashrama Dharma? Mataji?
Yeah, Mataji, so Varnashram Dharma, first of all, it talks about the different classifications of society into into Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. So, according to the nature of one's, nature of one's person, according to the nature of a person, their inclinations, what are they inclined to doing? There are different classifications of society. So, there'll be teachers, there'll be administrators, there'll be business persons, then there'll be people who are carrying out all other types of activities. And then also the
Just
brahmacharis, then
no.
the brahmacharis, and after that, when the marriage takes place, one is a grihastha, then vanaprastha and sannyasi. So these are the different aspects of varnashram dharma. Now, varnashram dharma is very important. We all have our own duties to perform, but as devotees, as sadhakas, as practitioners on the path of bhakti, we should understand that whatever is our duty, we should not take it as a separate. We should try to uh, work in such a way that our duties and our bhakti are actually mixed, because everything that we are doing, we should do it as an offering to the Lord. Now, as homemakers, it is our duty to look after the house well, to look after the children well, to look after the needs of everyone in the household well. Why? Because this family is also given to us by the Lord himself. So we should not neglect them. But we have to plan our day in such a way, Mataji, so that our devotional practices are not compromised. And this I have heard from devotees many a times, that whether one is a student, whether one is working outside, or whether one is a homemaker, in all different walks of life, all it needs is a bit of planning. We just have to structure our life in such a way so that we can give time, adequate time for our sadhana, and adequate time for our responsibilities also. And the best way is to start our day early, end our day early on time, sleeping on time, very important. And if we can start our day early, then we can do our chanting, we can do arti, offering, sadhana in the morning, and then family responsibilities start. Then again, whenever we get time, we can read, we can attend classes like this. Then again, reading time in the evening. In this way, Mataji, we can, make our schedule in such a way that nothing is neglected. Obviously, at a time when children are very young, or there is someone who is unwell in the family, at those times, our time will be going towards family more. But our basic sadhana, our 16 rounds, our regulative principles, arti, reading, this we should try to maintain even in difficult days. Obviously, there will be some times where one responsibility will take more of our time, but we have to try and balance. Nitai Sevni Mataji says that it's like a horizontal and vertical responsibilities. We have a responsibility to do devotional service, but all our other horizontal responsibilities, if we don't take care of them, then there'll be a lot of disturbance in our life, which will cause disturbance in our bhakti also. So it'll take guidance of devotees. If there is something very specific, very personal, then you can take guidance from some devotee on a personal level. But generic, a general instruction that we have received is we should try to maintain a balance between our spiritual and material lives, so that none of our duties are neglected. Obviously, there will be some things which will not compromise on. If someone is expecting us to indulge in any activity which is breaking the four regulative principles, then we'll not do that. But our basic duties, we should try to do while we are doing our chanting and our basic sadhana. Okay, Mataji? Anything
Yes, Mataji.
specific
Thank
we
you
can
so
discuss
much.
separately, Mataji. Yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Dhanyavad.
Dhanavad. So thank you all so much. Thank you for your patient hearing. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti vaishnavin ki jai. Shri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Guru Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna, Dhanavad Pranams. Thank you all so much.
Mansi Mata ki jai for the wonderful class, Mataji. Wonderful explanation. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you.
Thank you so
Dandavat
much. Hare
Thank you,
Pranam.
Krishna.
Mataji.
Dhanavad
Again,
Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much.
With
Thank
your
you.
kind permission, can I end this meeting, Mataji?
Please, Mataji. And thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Mataji,
Mataji.
for all the help
Hare
today.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat.